Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. I am excited to introduce Thomas Schrency. I hope I'm saying that correctly, Thomas, to you, and he will give you an overview of the University of Massachusetts at Lowell. You will be muted, and your video will be off as well, but please do use the Q&A feature to ask Thomas any questions you might have during the presentation. Also, I want to remind you that if you want to review this presentation, you can log right back on to www.pacac.org/virtual and see a recording of the presentation. And then as well, while you're there, you might be interested to check out some of the other recordings as well. So once again, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. And I'm going to turn things over to Thomas. Thank you, Thomas.
All right, thank you. So welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to this session. We've just been having an obvious aerial tour, which you could find on YouTube, just showing you the campus situated in Lowell. And you can, if you can see my video, you can see behind me, I'm projected in the city of Lowell. That's actually where I typically start, is introducing the university, where we are, the size and location. That screenshot right there is a perfect pausing spot. I go a little basic and I use Google Maps just to kind of show where we are in terms of Massachusetts, always very helpful. So Lowell is right there, obviously with the red pin marker. Lowell is a medium-sized city. It's about 35 minutes from Boston if you drove up the two basic main highway routes from Boston to Lowell. Typically 35-40 minutes driving, 25 miles as the crow flies in a straight line. So we are very close to New Hampshire, obviously pretty close to Boston. So in terms of research opportunities, hands-on work for students, and just for fun stuff. I live in the city of Lowell for recreational stuff, being in near two cities, near Boston and obviously in Lowell, and then being relatively near beaches, hiking, skiing, backpacking opportunities, outdoorsy stuff in general, whether it's hunting, fishing, or the other ones I listed. You're going to be within 35 minutes to all that kind of stuff. So you're in an amazing location for work and for play. So I live in Lowell. I went to UMass Lowell, so I'm very biased, but I definitely think it's a great area of Massachusetts and definitely a great school, of course, worth checking out. But with that, with the end use of that map, rather, I'm going to jump to my little presentation here. Once it decides to load up, walking through the basics of university. And once it refreshes itself and catches back up to me, I will definitely start clicking away. So the first slide here is showing the campuses that are within the city of Lowell, the three main campuses that we do offer. Just for some context, this picture is of course facing south. So if you're looking at Google Maps and zoomed in, this would be backwards. So East Campus closest to us, basically in the foreground, is going to be the main residential campus. So if you lived on campus, there's a very good chance you'd be on East. As a student myself, I lived on East Campus all 4 years. It is right next to downtown Lowell. If the picture was bigger and you kept going to the left off of the screen right now, you'd be in downtown Lowell within 3 minutes. Just off of the shot, down the main roads from East Campus is downtown Lowell. And on the other side of downtown is a train to Boston. So we are very accessible to the city of Lowell, to the main heart and center of the city life, and to getting to trains outside of Lowell or into the communities nearby. In the opposite direction of North Campus across the bridge, that is about a 5-minute walk, just for some context, since this is an aerial shot and can throw people off. I've walked that bridge from east to north many times, and it's probably a 5-minute walk. Honestly, it's very, very short. North Campus is where you typically find the engineering, the science, and the business programs. All the majors on campus are divided by either North or South Campus. East is just residential, and all the majors are organized on North or South. So if you're in engineering, one of the sciences, or the business program, literally 95% of your time is going to be on North Campus. And on South Campus, you'd have all the humanities, the social sciences, and health sciences. I was a history major when I went to UMass Lowell for my bachelor's degree, and I literally had all classes, but I think 3 or 4 on South. Everything else was on South Campus. 3-4 classes were on North. So I was very much focused on one campus. That is very much the factor for all students. So the school definitely gives you best of both worlds. Being a Division I medium-sized school at around 12,000 undergraduates, you're getting a community feel on campus because we're organizing the East, North, and South Campus way. But because of the resources, the size, and the Division I sports, you get a big school feeling and a lot of events and opportunities. So definitely a school worth checking out and coming for a tour when that's available, or just looking into more right now. So jumping into the academics of UMass Lowell, of course, there's going to be a great list of our majors online, but this one here is covering all the academic colleges that we do offer. very self-explanatory. I always point out, however, that honors college is not a major. It is based like an honors program, really jacked up. It has a lot of different opportunities that I'm going to jump into in a second. But these are the academic colleges that are 120 plus programs we offer are within. We do offer a lot of master's and doctorate programs. One thing that got me to apply originally to UMass Lowell was a 5-year program, which is a 4-year bachelor's and a 1-year master's. So you get 2 degrees in 5 years. There are a lot of options. Most of the master's programs do offer a 5-year track. So definitely something to consider. Very popular within education to be a teacher, of course, and the MBA within business. So those are definitely 2 popular 5-year tracks. Again, however, majority of the 40 plus master's programs do offer a 5-year track. So definitely something worth looking into. And just as a reminder, please feel free to use the Q&A if you do have any questions, if I say anything too fast, but I would definitely try to cover a majority of the university through the presentation. So this is the Honors College. I always point out that this is an automatic process when you apply to the school. There is no separate application for honors. Just if you qualify, you're given the admission to the honors program. A letter in your acceptance packet basically would be there to indicate that. This slide is covering the basic perks and features of the program. Registering for courses early is going to be great. Students register by seniority. So grad students, seniors, juniors, sophomores, of course, that's kind of the order for registering for classes. But if you're an honor student, you're towards the front of the line. So you kind of get advanced early access to registering for classes, which can be very useful depending on your work schedule, your interests, whatever it happens to be, sports, of course, as well. I always point out that Honors College LLC stands for Living Learning Community, basically a themed residence hall that's just for honor students. We do offer a lot of living learning communities that can be geared towards random interests, majors, career paths, but this one is just for honor students. Some of the nicest housing on campus is in the Honors College LLC. So that's definitely a huge perk for you. I'm not required of you, but definitely if you've got honors, there's no reason why you wouldn't be in honors housing because it's so nice and it's usually kept quieter with a little more strict rules, so to encourage strong academic environment. So, but that is the Honors College. No real minimum or maximum, of course, for applying. We're typically looking for a B+ to an A- honor student. We are a test optional school. I'll definitely get into a lot of the admission stuff later on, but we are test optional. We do not require the SAT or ACT for any major or for the honors program too. So what is backing you up as a student? This slide is covering the student supports that are going to be there to obviously back up your education and support you. The main office that students use is the Centers for Learning and Academic Support Services. That is the first bullet point class. That's the full name. Nobody says that day to day. We all typically just call it the Centers for Learning. That is where you're going to find tutoring, advising, computer labs, printing, all around campus. The biggest function, as you might be able to guess, is going to be tutoring and advising. They offer online notes, one-on-one or group tutoring, all for free. 6 days, 6 days a week for face-to-face tutoring, and of course 7 days a week for online stuff. That is available for you all the time. So if you are looking for help, it's always there. So definitely something to inquire about. A common trend in college in general is going to be self-advocacy. No one's going to make you get a tutor. Your professors hopefully will recommend if you're at a certain grade level, grade score rather, what your GPA is currently in this class. They hopefully will recommend extra help or extra studying, but definitely using these services is going to be on you. No one's going to obviously drag you there, but they are there. They are fantastic. Some of my favorite staff on campus work for the Centers for Learning, so definitely an office to be aware of and use their services. The bachelor's to master's program is what I covered earlier on, the 5-year track. So that's what the accelerated program is. That's again open to majority of our 40+ master's programs. While we are a state school in Massachusetts, so of course education is going to be a very popular program. One of our original functions, actually, when we were first started in 1897, I think something around that time, was we were a teachers college. Continuing with that, the U Teach is an opportunity for STEM majors to get advanced exposure to classrooms and working with students. Typically freshman, sophomore year of college when you get exposure to that. We do offer teaching minors and majors for all students interested in all types of subjects and grade levels. However, this program You Teach is just for STEM students to really jumpstart that interest. There's always can be a shortage of STEM teachers, so that's always kind of a way to incentivize those to have that early exposure. So that's awesome. The next bullet point here, the core curriculum, breadth of knowledge, and essential outcomes are aspects of individual classes and programs to really highlight that we are very well rounded. We're making sure students graduate with the knowledge in their program, but also a basic knowledge, like general education knowledge as well. Your core curriculum is basically going to be like in high school, your general education requirements you have to take, English courses, science courses, things like that. It can change major to major. Typically, students are going to have a handful they have to do over the whole 4 years. So that's what your core curriculum is. Your breadth of knowledge and essential outcomes are going to be aspects of individual classes and programs to make sure, again, as students are hitting benchmarks, that they are being tested to put their knowledge into practice, not just prove that they memorized something for a test, right? We want to see you, related to other things you've been taught in the same class and other classes that you've been in already. So really just highlighting that we're making sure our programs are well-rounded or balanced, and giving checks on students to really highlight that they have memorized and are putting their knowledge into practice. So that was great. I mentioned advisors through the Centers for Learning. They are typically there to help students who are thinking of switching a major, adding a major, going overseas in a study abroad or a co-op or something like that. So they're always going to be available to help you. The college-based advisor is going to be an advisor in your major, basically, who's going to help you semester by semester, what courses you should take in order to be successful, in order to graduate on time. So mine was Professor Young in the history department. However, it could be obviously somebody in a related major, but not exactly in your program. A transfer coordinator would be if you transferred into UMass Lowell from another institution. Roughly half of our students, 50% of all students at UMass Lowell have transferred in. So we are a very transfer-friendly school. And if you are transferring into university, a coordinator to help you in terms of learning what classes are going to be applicable to your degree, and what programs, what classes might not be transferred in because they're just not compatible. So that's definitely a service that we're going to offer. If you were considered first generation, if your parents didn't go to college, if your grandparents didn't go to college, basically, you'd be considered first generation. And the Riverhawk Scholars Academy is an opportunity to support you, to make sure you stay in college with the tools to be successful, the resources to be successful, and also give you a community of other students in a somewhat similar situation, so to help you feel at home and like you belong, because of course you do. So that is an awesome opportunity for those who want to do it, who are considered first generation student. So awesome opportunity, full of a lot of support. I believe that might be a living learning community as well in the residence hall. I might be mistaken, but definitely something to look into if you're considered first generation. So the career services, just like the Centers for Learning, is all about self-advocacy. No one's going to drag you to the career services to, the cliche example, get a resume made or, reviewed. But they're going to be there to help you all steps of the way of professionalism building, grooming yourself to be more hireable, and, better presentation at interviews, networking events, things like that. Their biggest, most popular functions are going to be overseeing the co-op and internship program. So as a research school, that's a very, very big function, very, very sought after by students, is going to be working with the career services office to help them fulfill interviews, searches for internships and co-ops. They, of course, will support that by doing career fairs each semester, doing career cafe, which is basically an open door policy, like a open door coffee shop kind of environment, to students to come in, relax, and use their services in a much more enticing way. You can get free coffee out of it, and also be a much more comfortable setting too. So that is great. I mentioned workshops and networking events. They would do small stuff like how to interview, handshake technique, interview skills, of course. They will sit down and you'll do networking dinners, and you'll be taught how to eat soup correctly. A fun fact is that they teach when you have soup, to scoop it away from yourself so you don't spill it on yourself and make a mess. So they teach you little nuanced little details to how to present yourself, which fork maybe to use correctly, all sorts of kind of grooming techniques to look as professional and well-mannered as possible, depending on what you are going into. So definitely an office to take advantage of, to use all 4 years through their training programs, not just obviously resumes, which they do a ton of, but they offer a lot more than that. So definitely take advantage of this office. Again, no one's going to drag you there, but definitely there for students who want to use it, and is an amazing office full of some very great staff. So I can't recommend checking them out enough. I should also mention before I keep going, that is a lifelong partnership with Career Services. So if you've graduated and you are across the country in another country, you can use their services for a lifetime. So you are a Riverhawk, our mascot, Riverhawk for life. So definitely be sure to use their services after you graduate too. So moving on to the current slide. We are a hands-on school. We are a top-tier national research university. So with that, hands-on work is a very, very big factor in every major. You saw on the last slide, co-ops and internships are going to be very popular. A lot of STEM programs go into co-ops because it is hands-on work in your field, typically paid. Internships in all these categories are applicable to a lot of different majors as well, and I'm going to go through them to explain what they are. Most people are familiar with study abroad, studying in another country for a couple of weeks, winter break, summer break, a whole semester, or a whole academic year are all options. There are currently over 300 study abroad programs, so literally every major can go overseas. I believe students have gone to every continent, so you can definitely highlight, really highlighting that you can go anywhere in the world depending on what your interests are. This is an office I can't recommend no matter where you go to college. Going early on, not waiting until your junior, senior year to ask about going overseas. Asking freshman, sophomore year to map out your classes. What are your opportunities? What does your program provide for, what's your best window to go overseas, basically? So just a friendly tip for study abroad, but definitely available. As a research school, partnering with different industries on and off campus is going to be plentiful. There are scores and scores, dozens upon dozens of labs on campus and off campus that students work with. If you ever look at a map of Lowell between Boston, you'll see there's so much industry. The Eastern Massachusetts is very much a settled area, so a lot of industry around us with a lot of different company opportunities in a lot of different career fields. So that is a huge opportunity on and off campus, and a huge perk of the city of Lowell, and being in Lowell is going to be the variety you can offer. So definitely an opportunity for those who are interested. A clinical experience is typically something a health science student would do. My go-to example is a nursing student working in a hospital. As a Boston area school, we have worked with all Boston area hospitals with our nursing program. There are 2 hospitals in Lowell and other ones nearby that we work with every semester, every year with nursing students. So whether it's nursing, other health sciences, we have a fantastic placement rates in hospitals for clinical settings. So if you're interested in health sciences, definitely looking at UMass Lowell as a school, a lot of opportunity for that. A practicum is a more general category. That could be student teaching, working in politics, social services, any type of research project maybe could be a practicum project. Very much a general category, much more broad to apply to a lot of different things, a lot of in-field experiences. Similarly, service learning is pretty broad. It is learning while providing a service. It is exactly what it sounds like. 2 opposite ends of the spectrum of examples could be a student in sociology working within social services or the community of some community of some sort to help out. Or it could be on the other end. It could be an engineering student building a prosthetic, building a tool for someone in need of some capacity. So, learning while providing a service, giving back to the community or giving to those in need is one part of your program, and you're getting credits. So that is why that's your learning part. So you do service and learning. So definitely a great opportunity if that interests you for all majors who can find something that they want to do. So definitely explore that. Interdisciplinary project is really any project that is multiple disciplines. Music and psychology, how music affects mood, has been done before. But if you wanted to blend politics and history, 2 very good categories, or engineering and music, or environmental science and music, or whatever you happen to want to do. Any project that's different disciplines under that category, as you can see, very, very vague, really highlighting how much we want you students to really find their interest, steer their own projects and their own hands-on work for their own careers that they want to do. So definitely a big part of UMass Lowell's identity is going to be students taking control of their program. I skipped over difference makers because that is unique than the rest. It is different than the rest. If you've ever watched the show Shark Tank, it is exactly like that, kind of. It is where students get to compete for funding in the form of a scholarship for their projects. It could be a device they want to sell, an app, a clothing item, any type of service or good they want to provide. Anybody with an entrepreneurial spirit, as I typically say, could be perfect for difference makers. There's a whole maker space where you get to work as a team and have access to resources and advisement and stuff like that to support the program and support your project. So definitely a cool opportunity. If anything I said interested you in that last one, difference makers is for you. You don't have to think about your major. It's open to everybody. So as a former student, I always relate the campus life to when I was a student. First off, in 2010, when I graduated, there were about 120 clubs and organizations. Now in 2020, there are over 275 with club and intramural sports included. This is very much driven by student interest, just like hands-on work in majors from one of the last slides, and just like career services, centers for learning. This is a student-driven part of the campus. Students run and start most clubs. The rugby team pictured here is a fantastic example. So people I knew my sophomore year started this team, and they have done fantastic. They've just gotten better and better, made the playoffs every single year, winning championships along the way. So student club and student life is really driven by students. You're going to find things for every type of interest. I always like to say, you can't be bored unless you're a boring person, because there's so much to do on campus and off campus, being in the city of Lowell. As I pointed out in the map in the beginning, the amount of things you can do off campus, if you like the outdoors, is going to be fantastic. Or if you like shows and events, cultural opportunities, being in Lowell, being near Boston and other cities is going to be a huge opportunity for you as well. But clubs on campus will be honor societies for majors, fraternities, sororities, sports, of course, related to random interests like hula hooping, or cultural or religious or whatever it happens to be. So you'll always find something to do. If you like gaming and hate talking to people, there's a club called the Masters Gaming Connection, where they play games. So if you just like gaming, that's an opportunity for you as well. So every type of facet and interest in life is going to find something on campus. But again, you are empowered to start your own clubs. So I definitely emphasize that if you are, finding everything like at UMass Lowell except for like the one club sport you wanted to do. So that's always good to know about. Housing is available all 4 years. It is listed as available because it is not required. You are allowed to commute all 4 years. You're allowed to live off campus in your own apartment, but housing is guaranteed all 4 years if you want to be on campus all 4 years. A big part of that is going to be the 20+ themed living and learning communities. Majority of our residence halls and more and more of our students have living and learning communities in them. UMass Lowell actually does not offer any year-specific housing, meaning there's no freshman-only housing or senior-only housing. Housing on campus is typically organized by interest or by major or by community of some sort. So you're really going to be blended in with people who are in a similar interest, similar fields, stuff like that to you. So really making the community as strong as it can be and as homey as it can be. So everyone feels connections and feels welcome. So that's always great. 18 eateries are on campus. Always going to find food that you like for every type of dietary restriction, whatever it may be. Always going to find a variety of food on campus. Definitely something to be trying out, is the variety you can have on campus. And then again, going to the area, Lowell is a very diverse city. You have quite a variety of foods you can have off campus. So another huge perk of the school and being part of the city is just off on the map, not gated off, not off to the side. You're right near all kind of the little shops that could be around campus for food. So definitely a great part of campus life too is going to be the food off campus as well as on campus. While UMass Lowell is very much a strong STEM and research school, music is a very strong program, and a side effect byproduct of that is going to be a lot of bands and ensembles. These are open to all students. So the 50 bands and ensembles, if you are engineering and don't play aren't in a music major, but just love the trombone or whatever, you can be in an ensemble. All I have to do is audition, of course, and be good. So it's open to all students if you have the interest in music. So definitely taking a part of that, if you like music, is going to be key. Similarly, if you're into theater and acting and that kind of stuff, there are the Off-Broadway Players is our theater group that puts on 2 full-scale productions every year. So being a part of that is going to be great. That is a fully student-run program. So students, of course, are going to be the actors, but they're also going to help with the staging, the set design, the whole kind of production management as well. So any type of interest in theater is going to be there. UMass Lowell does offer a theater arts concentration in English as well. So that's going to be very, very much connected. But again, the theater program is not required to be in the theater club. The Songa Center is where our hockey team plays. That is where our Division I hockey team plays, and as well as our Division I basketball team plays. But of course, when they are not there, there's going to be entertainment performers and events going on there. Open house is typically held through the Songa Center. This right here is a shot of the student section naturally in the hockey games. So hockey is definitely our biggest Division I sport. We do not have a football team. That's always a common question. And as a Division I school, it seems right for me to point that out, that we do not have a football team. Hockey team is kind of our really rallied behind sport the most. They do very, very well every year. Basketball is, of course, very popular, but field hockey, soccer, are all very strong as well. So definitely taking a part in attending those games, as they're all free, is going to be another part of campus life you can do. So definitely taking part of that. There's a whole other aspect of campus life. So this is listing our facilities if you wanted to know their name, but that is them. So jumping into numbers of the university, this is kind of more general. The next one will cover admissions. As you can see, our students come from all 50 states and 122 nations. So definitely a diverse school in that aspect. Diversity has been going up all 4 years. I'm sorry, since I graduated 10 years ago, it has been going up. When I was a senior, I believe it was a little under 30%. So it's gone up a little bit every single year. So 30% of students identifying as being students of color is a great thing to know that it's gone up. As well as the number of buildings that have been opened, that has really shot up a lot in the last 10 years as well. Those 16 buildings include added new buildings and renovated buildings. So the school is definitely a great time to check it out on virtual tours, VR tours, and one-on-one tour, in-person tours rather, when those resume. We are 130 acres if acreage is important to you, if you measure schools by that size, but we are medium size is the common category. We are a medium sized school, again, of around 12,000 undergraduate students and around 19,000 total students. Our average class size is about 20 people. You see our student to faculty ratio there. You will definitely have some lecture hall classes. We offer those, but we definitely keep class sizes small. A great aspect of the different campuses, north, south, and east, and the majors being organized is going to be keeping classes small and keeping those majors kind of organized. So definitely important to know. Also, which is not noted, all classes are taught by professors. TAs do not teach any classes, only professors do. So that's always going to be an important note. So jumping into admissions information on the university, this one here is covering obviously the averages. First and foremost, we are a test optional school. UMass Lowell, I believe, was the first state school in New England to go test optional. So we have been test optional 5-6 years now. We have really streamlined the process and learned how to make it better and quicker for us to evaluate effectively and fairly. So definitely a common practice with us is test optional. Every major, I can't emphasize this enough, every major is open to that. There is nothing against you applying test optional. You can still get scholarships. So please, if you are a poor test taker, if you couldn't find the SATs this year because of it being canceled, don't stress. You can apply test optional for all programs. If you do apply with the SATs though, you can self-report your scores. So if you take the November SAT and you get your score before a decision, you can let us know on your application and then give us the official report when it comes out later on. So really making it easier for you as a student to apply. So that's always important to know. But jumping into these kind of bullet points here, we do super score the SAT. So the averages on the SAT and ACT listed are super scored, meaning your best English and best math section are all we use on the SAT, or if the ACT is higher, that's all we're going to use. Your GPA is going to be reweighed by us. We use college prep level courses or higher. So unleveled courses, the go-to example is gym or PE, are not used in evaluation, but every course, electives included, that are above that level are used. I know that when I applied, I took honors auto shop in high school, and that was used as an honors course because it was honors. So any elective that is college prep or higher can be used. So always a nice tip for picking your courses for future years is going to be on what level you pick. If you do advanced rigor courses like honors or AP courses, you actually get additional weight in our review when we reweigh it onto our own 4.0 scale. Any honors course, you actually get a half grade increase. So if you got a B, a 3.0 basically in an honors course, we would weigh it as a 3.5. You would get a half grade increase because of the advanced rigor of an honors course. Any AP, any dual enrollment, and any IB level courses get a full letter grade increase, meaning a B minus, for example, would become an A minus. So it's a huge boost in your application if that is the level of courses you've taken, or some of them if you've taken like that. Also worth noting that if you take AP courses and get a 3 or higher on subjects, for most subjects, I believe, you're going to get matching courses towards a UMass Lowell class. So if you took AP English and got a 4 in the exam, you would not take English 101 basically, which every student takes. You would have that course filled already. So a huge perk is the double dip of AP courses. So definitely a huge tool. You can really see some GPAs, jump up in score because of the AP courses and honors courses. So that's always important to know. New this year, UMass Lowell offers 3 deadlines, but we just do early action and regular decision dates. We don't offer early decision. The biggest difference being early decision is kind of like a contract where if they admit you're going to that school, they're going to start the enrollment process with you in some capacity. We do not do that. Early action is more of a non-binding decision, meaning you can decline your spot and go to a different school if you decided to, or take a gap year or whatever. So we offer 2 early action dates, as you can see there. Nursing is required to apply November 5th just because it's so competitive. Nursing is a direct admit program, as all UMass Lowell programs are. So if you applied for nursing and got an admit letter in nursing, congratulations, you hold a nursing spot. There's no sophomore, junior year of getting a final decision. No, you're in. You're already in. You start nursing freshman year. That's applicable for all degrees, all programs. So definitely a great important note is going to be the direct admission. But if you're outside of nursing, you can pick any deadline you want. I recommend earlier because for a number of big reasons. You get a decision earlier. It's not a binding decision. There is more merit-based scholarship and financial aid available naturally because it's earlier on. We haven't given it to as many people yet since we're still at our early deadline naturally. So there's always that to know. I mentioned it's a non-binding decision, and one of the better reasons is going to be, it makes you look into the school. By applying earlier, it shows us that you're highly motivated in UMass Lowell or college or your education, and we're going to view you in a way of being highly interested and highly motivated student because you're applying early. So it's a good way that even if we're your safety school or some random school you're applying to, please don't tell us that, of course, but if we are, the early action is not a binding decision and it helps you look at the same time. So I am all for that, but it's totally up to you as to when you apply outside of nursing, of course. You see the FAFSA dates there as well, so definitely be sure to use those as well and make note of them. Jumping into what's in an application, what you need to have submitted to complete an application, have it be fulfilled. Common App, commonapp.org, very popular avenue. We are part of the coalition application this year, and as well as have our own application online, of course. So definitely use those. We do offer a lot of fee waivers. I'm very happy to offer fee waivers to students who need them. Or if you apply through the Common App, they typically have a list of criteria how to qualify. So taking a look at that is a great way to save yourself $60 in applying for UMass Lowell, so that's always cool. Obviously, test scores, if you're going to use them, or indicating if you're applying test optional. There was no supplemental essay for the test optional option. If you do, you can do it. There is an essay there, but it's not required of you. So just note that. High school transcripts typically have at least 3 years of grades on them. So 9 through 11 grades, what we typically are going to see. Of course, if you have senior year grades, please submit them. Please let us know. But we may not specifically ask for them just because, again, not required until you've been accepted. So definitely be aware of that and submit that. With the personal essay, this is a great time that I like to emphasize that this is the only time in the application that you're kind of talking to us as a person reading your application. So good grammar, good essay structure and how it flows are all going to be important. You're highlighting yourself as a student, as a writer. Giving us a sneak peek as to how you are as a student. So that's going to be important. The topic you choose is going to be great. So just making sure it's well composed and organized is going to be great. You can talk about anything you want. You can be funny, sad, serious, however you want to be. Just be yourself. Don't try to sound like a senator or somebody you're not. We want you to be yourself. So definitely take some time to think about it and have a fresh set of eyes, look at it to make sure it makes sense and the grammar makes sense as well. We only require one letter of recommendation, so definitely send us more if you have them. Only one is required. The only rule is they can't be related to you. So a coach, a boss, a mentor of some sort are all great people who can write the letter. A good piece of advice, a tip, is that the letter recommendation should be able to be specific to you, meaning I shouldn't be able to put anybody's name in there. It shouldn't just say you're a good student and on time to class and always attentive and so on and so forth, because that can be anybody, right? We want someone who's going to write a letter of recommendation who's going to talk about your growth specifically, what your interests are, how you've shined in your interest or whatever it happens to be. So that's always kind of a piece of advice I like to give as well. If you're applying for art, please submit a portfolio. If you're doing auditions for music, definitely auditions for music can be before or after you apply. So definitely be aware of those if you're doing those programs. If you got accepted, this is what we just point out what you do after you've been accepted, just so students are aware. If you take one thing away from this slide, it's going to be that May 1st is an important date. It is almost National Decision Day. Lots of schools use May 1st as a deadline to submit enrollment deposits to make your decision on that school. We do that date as well, so that's definitely an important note. It's going to be May 1st. But the following bullet points after that are just what you do in order once you're accepted. So make a note of that. But if you're researching schools right now, maybe a little early to be talking about orientation, stuff like that, but all stuff you need to do after you've been accepted. So definitely be aware of those. This is my last slide before I turn it open to questions and let you guys take control of this. This is just highlighting the open house that we do offer currently on virtual right now. We do have virtual tours, VR, virtual reality tours. Obviously, if you're ever in Lowell, you can drive around the city. The city, of course, is open, so you can come through and see the campus if you ever wanted to. But a great option if you're further away, of course, they're going to be virtual tours that we're going to offer. Admissions counselors like myself are always available to do Zoom chats or any type of thing we can do for you, so please be aware of that. And it's 2020. I'm sure everyone knows how to use social media and find UMass Lowell. But those are our tags and how to find us on different platforms. So be aware of that. But that does it for me. I will typically go back to the aerial tour at this point, just kind of let it loop because it's nice to show everybody. So I will do that. But I turn it over to you and let the last 10 minutes roughly of this presentation, we open to questions and let me recover any topics I do have. But with that, I'm going to transition back to the aerial tour here, which again is on YouTube and a great thing to just turn the volume off and watch because it's so nice. But again, one more time, thank you for your time today. Enjoy this aerial tour while we let the last 10 minutes of the presentation, wrap up. But again, thank you for your time and have a great evening.
All right. Thank you so very, very much. I don't see any questions in the Q&A just right now. So if anyone out there has one, please, we'll give it a couple more seconds here to see if anything pops up. And then I'm going to wish Thomas farewell and thank him very much for sharing the slides. I'm sitting here watching the little movie. It really is awesome. It's
great. Yep.
You guys have some great facilities there. So, and
Absolutely.
I mentioned at the beginning, before we opened it up to attendees, that stadium is just beautiful. So
the Lowell Spinner Stadium.
Yeah.
Yep, you can see it right over my shoulder, right over here on the river. Yeah. That's part of the East Campus. There it is right there. Yeah, the Lowell Spinners, the affiliate of the Red Sox, play there. It's like $6 for front row seats. It's so cheap and awesome games. And that's part of our campus. So definitely a cool aspect of that. And yeah, definitely great games. But unfortunately this year, I think the whole season was canceled, unfortunately, but maybe next year.
All right. Well, I don't see any questions popping up, so I'm going to go ahead and thank you very much, Thomas.
Of course. Thank you.
You've been so informative, and I appreciate all the slides as well. And we gave us a great sense of what UMass Lowell really offers. And again, a reminder to students that if you want to replay this, it will be available through the registration site. That's www.pacac.org/virtual. And when I close the meeting, there will be a survey for any of the attendees. It's just 4 questions, but we would really appreciate if you would fill it out. Hope everybody has an absolutely wonderful weekend. Stay safe and stay healthy. Thanks again, Thomas.
Thank you. Bye-bye.